Hi, everybody. I am Courtney Madany, and this is my graduate presentation on Luttrell chapters 5 and 6 from our social media book. For chapter 5, these are some of the key learning outcomes that we get in this chapter, which is about contemporary media relations. The 3 key learning outcomes are as follows: learn the role earned media plays within PR, and understand the differences between traditional media relations and media relations in the social sphere and how those two things overlap and connect. The second thing we learn is how to understand and distinguish the role of the public relations practitioner versus a journalist. And third, we will learn the elements of a pitch email, digital press release, and online media center. So we're going to start with the traditional media relations versus media relations on the social sphere. Traditional media relations included sending a press release to a reporter who a PR practitioner knew really well, and then that story was presented in the paper as it was received through the press release. Media relations today includes not only that traditional relationship, but also those formed and maintained through social media platforms, after hours networking events, and bloggers or influencers. Both of these require relationship management and communication, but in our book, Luttrell tells us that the tactics required in traditional media and social media relations are different. The same tactics cannot be applied to both because the mediums are different. Next, we're going to talk about public relations practitioners versus journalists. A PR practitioner must now build relationships with traditional journalists, as well as bloggers, online reporters, administrators, citizen journalists, and new influencers. Journalists are tasked with presenting a story through whichever platform they need to, whether that's a blog, newspaper, social media, etc., and must do so in creative, relatable ways. So journalists tell the story, and PR practitioners tell the story, plus all of those other things that you can see on the screen. PR practitioners must be able to tell the stories and relate to audiences in addition to so many other skills. It is important to know the difference because many times PR practitioners find themselves boxed into a role of media relations. And Luttrell talks about that on page 69 of our book, when PR practitioners are actually able to contribute and be experts in so many other areas. So we should care about this as future PR practitioners because we really don't want to be boxed into a specific role when we have so many tools in our tool belt. Next are the elements of the pitch, press release, and online media. Luttrell tells us in the book, a press release that is newsworthy, specifically targeted, and well-written is always appreciated by media professionals. Luttrell further explains that in modern times, images, hyperlinks, factoids, and easy-to-share stories actually make a better pitch. The main elements of all 3 of the above methods include the following from Luttrell's book. First is sharing contact information. Now, traditionally, this was simply a name, a phone number, and an email, possibly a fax number. Today, this information may be included along with social media usernames or sites where the PR practitioner is most active. Next comes the headline, where a reader's attention must be instantly grabbed. Luttrell gives specifics of like formatting and all of that kind of thing in the book for the headline. Next is the introductory paragraph, which contains the well-known who, what, when, where, and why of the story. That is followed by the supporting paragraph and specific details that cannot be addressed in the headline or introductory paragraph. Next, and this is where it gets updated from the traditional elements, comes text links, facts and statistics, and images or videos that are related to the story. The amazing thing about press releases now is that they can be instantly shared as is and provide a space for practitioners to connect directly with readers. It is important to incorporate as many things as possible into your press release. This encourages further connection to an organization. Now we're going to move on to chapter 6, and this is where we talk about content creation and content curation. The key learning outcomes from this chapter include distinguishing between content creation and content curation, so learning the difference, learning the steps that go into building a content plan, and lastly, becoming familiar with various types of content used by PR and social media strategists. So let's start with that content creation versus content curation. Content creation is the process of creating your own content and sharing it with followers or subscribers. And content curation is the process of gathering existing information from blogs, social media posts, or other platforms relevant to a particular topic and sharing it with your brand's followers. The difference of these two things matters because they can each achieve different goals from a public relations standpoint. For example, an organization may have created their own content related to a breast cancer fundraising campaign. In order to further enhance their fundraising efforts, they could utilize curated content, such as studies about breast cancer treatment or factoids about how a particular machine improves patient care. Knowing how to synthesize original and curated content helps the audience connect the dots between topics and therefore can make a stronger campaign. Next, we're going to talk about content plans. And because we focused on corporate blogs in this week's focus questions, that's what I'm going to focus on here as well. So in our book, Luttrell lists 10 essential components regarding corporate blogging. Determine the blog team, the blog purpose, the blog audience, the blog persona and voice, the meaning for the blog, an editorial calendar, a publication schedule, blog rules, a content curation plan, and a promotional plan. So now let's go through each of these. A blog requires more than one person in order to cover events, gain photos, proofread, and more, which is why a blog team is so important. Next, the purpose of the blog must be focused and consistent so that readers know what they are getting when they come to your blog. Knowing the audience of the blog can help guide future content. Next, developing a consistent voice and persona on the blog aids in a well-rounded and trustworthy blog for your readers. Blogs are less formal than other types of writing, so developing a voice is a crucially important piece of the equation. The meaning for the blog helps determine what type of content is best for readers. To-do lists, top 10 lists, or infographics can all achieve different results. The rules and plans of the blog can help with the scheduling, formatting, campaign planning, achieving goals, and much more. Last, we're going to touch on types of content. And again, because we focused on podcasts in the focus questions this week, that's what we're going to focus on here. Luttrell expresses to readers the growing popularity of podcasts. Podcasts can be incorporated into PR strategies by becoming the medium through which specific topics are addressed at consistent times. For example, a healthcare organization could do a monthly podcast that focuses on different departments each month. As part of those podcasts, department directors can be guest experts, further connecting the hospital to the community and community members to the hospital. Podcasts are extremely easy to share digitally, making them a perfect piece of content for social media. Podcasts are available to listeners with ease, and followers can be notified instantly when new content is available to them. So hopefully this is a good review of chapters 5 and 6 from the book. I look forward to reading people's comments and getting further discussion on these two topics. Thanks, everybody.